Welcome to the sideboard digitally here on the SCG Tour Online Championship Qualifier number 2. I'm here with Brad Nelson. Playing in your first qualifier. You didn't get in the first one, so we're looking forward to seeing you play this week. And it's new standard or sort of new standard, depending on how much you think Core Set 2021 impacts the format. So who better to talk to than Brad about standard now?
I don't know if this is a good time to be considering me an educational tool for Magic. I've been a little out of the game as of late.
Well, you've been doing a lot of work with MTG Melee, right? And that's one of the reasons why we have the online tour here. So talk about what you've been doing with them.
Yeah, I mean, I like to say that I've been contributing as much as I can, but I make the joke that if we were Survivor, I'd be the first voted off because Jason Flatford and Steve have both done unbelievably impressive work, especially Flats for creating it and updating it. I was happy with the first run with MTG Melee when we launched like 3 months ago, but Flats wasn't satisfied. Since then, we've added so many new features for both organizers and players that it doesn't even look like the same website. It has the same feel, but I've been having a lot of fun with it and working on this. And we've got a lot of cool things coming up that I guess I can't talk about.
Sure, but it's been keeping you busy. I assume that's important. What else have you been doing during the lockdown? Well, not the lockdown, but COVID-19, and keeping yourself busy because there's been plenty of online Magic offerings. But what else have you been getting into?
I've stayed busy just with all of that and with Melee, with any I've launched a YouTube channel and I was streaming for a while there and kind of haven't for the last couple weeks, but I'll get back onto that. But just trying to stay busy, and I have, with just launching a lot of randomly small little things that eat up all of my time. I don't know where my time goes, but I'll start a day and 12 hours later, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything and I was working on a bunch of little things. So I don't know how things are working, but I am staying at least busy.
I also saw on social media you got a new puppy, so pretty busy on that front too, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I Amber wanted a puppy. I said I didn't want a puppy. We got a puppy. But I love her so far. She's just a ball of sunshine and so energetic. I've never had a dog, let alone a puppy before. And it is so much fun to just play with her for like 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden she just falls asleep. Like as if you knocked her out. Like she'll just fall off all four legs and just be asleep already. But it's
how does your cat get along with her? Because we recently got a dog too, and there's been a little strife between the cat and the dog.
So we have two cats, and we thought it wasn't going to go great. So we did this lockdown thing we read about. Actually, the two cats had a incident last year where they all of a sudden didn't like each other, and it took like 2 weeks to fully integrate them back to loving each other and cuddling and stuff like that. So we kind of know this process, but this one's been a little bit abnormal because the cats, while they're weary of the dog, they're not hissing or fighting, and we haven't had an engagement even though they've both been within a foot of each other. And so it's going well. There's no love. There's there's no love between them yet, but they're just kind of feeling each other out, and it's going a lot better than I thought it would. We don't have anyone locked away anymore. In fact, all 5 of us slept in the bedroom. The last night we put the kennel thing in the room with us for the first time. So it worked out well so far. So fingers crossed.
Everything's getting along. Let's talk some Magic now, because this was originally going to be a deck tech, but we filmed these on Friday with all the technical things we have to figure out with the tournament happening on Saturdays. You don't know what you're playing yet as of this recording, but you have some ideas. Talk about where you're at kind of in your head with the format and what you want to be doing.
Yeah, so about a week ago, right before M21 came out, player Otstava won the Axion Now like 150 person 3K on Melee with a 4-color Yorion deck, and I really liked it. It was effectively Bant Yorion without any of the Nissa stuff, and it played Mythos of Naroi and Thought Erasure and Extinction Event as like a black splash, but still Uro, Sharks and stuff. I really like that deck, but I've been losing a lot with it in the last couple of days. I went from locking it in for this event because I find it enjoyable to not really being able to beat anyone because there are a few updates that kind of are annoying. Like Bant having Joel Rail, I think that's the name. I haven't made any Magic content in the last 2 weeks, so I don't even know any of the names. When I saw the new mono black deck, I was like, I have not even seen that M21 enchant creature.
Demonic Embrace.
Demonic Embrace. There you go. I am out of the content game. It's been a while since I wrote an article. But so I've thrown that deck away. So now we're starting over right now. So you're gonna get like from this moment of recording this to the tournament. This is my testing time. So I think that the metagame will have a lot of Bant and Teamer, of course, Bant Ramp and Teamer Acclamation, maybe more Bant. It's been performing really well in the SCG challenges if you're keeping up with the results. Bant is dominating in the last couple days. And so I do think that that's going to be a high deck. Now, the way to attack that might be these aggressive strategies, the mono greens, the mono blacks. I don't know how good that deck Bant is against mono black. I probably think it's favored, but I do think that these decks will be more popular than maybe they have been in the online challenges. So I might actually be looking at Rakdos Sacrifice. Now, this is a deck that's always had high win percentages throughout all of this time. Maybe not during the I guess it did also during the companion little blip of time. But it's always done pretty well, but very underplayed. And I don't really know the reason, but I do know that it's good against the aggressive strategy. So people are trying to play Rotting Regisaur or these mono green aggressive strategies, even mono
Beast.
red. Questing Beast. Well, let's talk 3 converted mana cost and under.
Okay.
Because we need to claim those firstborns. But I just thought that deck was actually potentially well positioned. It might have trouble with Scavenge News. Who knows? That's what I'm going to test literally after we're done here. I'm going to be grinding away at that. If I don't think that that's good enough, I might just take like, I don't know. If I'm playing stock Bant during the tournament, everything failed, and I'm just throwing that out with no games played. That is my end game. It's just play Bant Ramp, probably Pete Ingram's list. I don't know. Maybe someone will have something else. And I'll just be playing that with no games played.
Well, by the time this airs, we'll have figured out, but I'm hoping that it'll be something different, but maybe something with Teferi Master of Time. You've talked about on Twitter. You like that card. Joel Rail, Monvuli, Recluse, full name of that card. Got it.
That's impressive.
Scavenging News.
You deserve those big bucks, my friend.
Those are the core set 2021 cards that I think a lot of people are pinpointing right now. Do you have any others on your radar? Like obviously Ugin's going in some of the ramp decks, but have you thought about any of the sleeper cards or anything else that might show up?
So for this format, it's tough because it's tough to actually evaluate for me because 8 set standard is kind of this weird format, whereas 5 set standard, once we get a rotation, things will open up. Like I really want to play Cultivate. Cultivate's an extremely powerful magic card. And when my opponents cast it against me, sometimes I would much rather them do like cast an Uro than their Cultivate. If you ever have an opponent that mulligans to 6 and then they cast Cultivate on turn 3 against you, that's way more devastating than Uro. And so I do think that is a card that needs to be looked at a lot more, especially combos with Arboreal Grazer, which obviously isn't the best magic card in the world. But when you compare it with clean, fast card advantage like Cultivate, where you're also just playing that game plan, like turn 1 Grazer, turn 2 Cultivate, then we're talking like a real game plan, right? Because you're not down cards anymore. And so I do think that Cultivate definitely is the card that is on my radar the most. But I do like Jace and Jarrell in together because I think of Jace as not a card that goes into Bant or goes into 4-color mid-range or any of the controlling strategies. Did I say Jace? I meant Teferi.
Yeah.
4 mana Teferi. 4 mana Teferi, I think goes into decks that don't have removal, that aren't trying to interact with removal, and you can use it as that removal engine. So it works well with that. And Uro, sometimes you're going to need that extra turn to interact with your opponent's creature because your hand is counter spells and creatures. And I think that's how it generates. So I played a little bit with just a generic Simic deck, like literally Tradebinder Simic with some of the flash cards and stuff like that. And the deck functioned pretty well. Brazen Borrower was the only other interactive spell besides Teferi. And it worked out quite well, but it did feel a little less sophisticated and robust as what you'd see out of a Bant deck that we've already had 6 months to chisel away at. And so I don't really know if that deck has legs. It was impressive. It did some good things against aggressive decks on the back of just having a good streamlined curve of high impact rares.
All right. Well, what are your predictions for this event? Maybe not so much just for you, but overall, how do you think the tournament's going to shake out?
Oh, from your position, probably boring. I think that the Growth Spiral Uro decks are going to claim a lot of the top. It depends on how much aggressive strategies come in and how the Rakdos decks line up against the new builds of Bant. For me, if I'm playing the sleeper Rakdos Sacrifice that no one really is playing, I do think that Jund could surprise us, Jund Sacrifice, because the power of adding Solemn Simulacrum, like the first tournament this week in the SCG challenges was won by Yuki Ichikawa.
Yeah, we've seen that pop up with a bunch of new cards too. The Solemn Simulacrums, the Llanowar Emissary, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just a good bridge. Both those cards are good bridges to get you to Bowls of Citadel, which is the card that you want to cast as quickly as possible. So I might look at that deck as well and just be very aggressive on that. Like if all of the ringers are playing Bant and Team Reclamation, then I want to be on a deck that can exploit that. I don't know if that's Jund Sacrifice, but at least I do know that the strategy of playing a bunch of ramp creatures in those flex slots that aren't even that necessary in the deck to begin with, and get to those Bowls of Citadels and play all 4 of them and try to win the game that way. Plus, like there's no sweeter way to win the game than to play a Bowls of Citadel and kill them that turn. Like I've done it a few times. It's very addicting. I can't stop doing it. So I might end up pulling the trigger on that. Even though I don't like the Cat Cauldron combo, it takes forever.
Yeah.
I do like everything else about these strategies. So I keep coming back to them.
Yeah, the rest of that deck is exactly what I see Brad Nelson wanting to do in Standard often. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't like to take the time. That's why I just do the Uro stuff, because I just throw one card and it does it for me, right? Like I've gotten very lazy since Arena. I just want to throw something to play and see some animation and then go to my next turn.
Speaking of Arena, you're one of a handful of players that have had a lot of success at the tabletop level and in the digital realm since the Mythic Championships and the Mythic Invitationals and all that have been played on Arena. Which do you prefer playing, high-end events at?
That's tough. I will say that, I mean, for full transparency, if you want like the realest real answer, I like the idea of playing online for more casual, like I don't want to play a Mythic Championship Arena from home if that much money's on the line. I'd much rather travel to a location and then play on computers and play Arena that way. Mm-hmm. I think that once the prizes get so high, I personally get nervous of playing it at home with internet and all of that. Like my dog already knocked the internet out once, like, that's scary to me. And so I do like that. There's nothing that beats a tabletop tournament, but Arena does beat the 5th tabletop tournament in a row.
Yeah.
And so, I like a mixture of being able to stay home and travel. It keeps you from burning out while still getting to compete online. And so I can't wait till we can get a mixture again. But I do love that SCG is on online now, and we're running tournaments, and hopefully it continues for as long as possible, because I've been enjoying playing in the challenges and playing in these seasonal championships. Still got the branding right.
Championship qualifier that you for the seasonal championship.
I got it wrong. Sorry.
Very close though.
I was excited too. I was so excited.
All right. Well, I will let you get to work. You have about 12 hours to iron out what you're playing here, ballpark, and then wake up in the morning to play a tournament. So we will see if you end up on stock Bant or if you end up on something else as you predicted.
Yeah, or if you just want to throw me 75, I'll try it. I'm up for anything.
I'll send you something.
All right, good.
All right, for Brad Nelson, I'm Nick Miller. Stay tuned to Star City Games all week long for the action online here at the SCG Tour.